Whining is not a valuable contribution to society. It's not what you want to be known for. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for the support. On my channel, I like to give my opinion and perspective on things that are happening today, things that I think actually matter to everyday people, especially those of us trying to raise kids in the insanity known as today's society. I do like to talk about current events and politics, so please like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and share it with others. I am nearing the first big milestone of subscribers, which is to hit that 1,000 mark, so I would love it if you would help me get there as quickly as possible, and then we can continue building this channel together to hopefully reach more people that value logic, reason, and sanity. Also, be sure to head on over to Rumble and find me there under Outspoken Samantha in the event that YouTube decides I have violated their community standards and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. So before we get started, I wanted to give a quick shout out to a company that my brother-in-law created recently called Viking Secreto. They essentially make patriotic wear, patriotic apparel that also they use a portion of the proceeds to donate to local charities. They want to promote making products that are made in the US and also give to people that are local to them that actually do need the help, as opposed to sending money to Ukraine and such. So I am wearing one of the t-shirts that is there. It says F California, and it has the Viking Secreto logo on the sleeve. The material is great, the quality is great, it is true to fit, and I love this t-shirt because even though my family does not live in Colorado anymore, it is a nod to the fact that so many people from California moved to Colorado and essentially ruined the state. So if you live in Colorado, if you live anywhere, you're going to understand and appreciate the messaging of this, but they also have several other shirts that are more generally patriotic with the American flag, and again, if you purchase, a portion of the proceeds are going to go to a local charity. So let's help this brand grow, let's help this website grow. Please click on the link in the description box and check out what they have, and let's support businesses that are actually trying to put America first, because I feel like that is so few and far between these days. Go ahead and check it out. So I feel like wearing a t-shirt that has a Colorado theme to it is appropriate for today, because I am going to be talking about the episode that Southpark recently released, and Southpark is supposed to be a place that is located in Colorado, just roasting Harry and Meghan, and it is absolutely hilarious. And the reason that everything they did in this episode is so funny is because it's true. And the point of the episode is to mock the couple, essentially, because they made this decision. They said that the reason they left Britain is because they wanted their privacy. They wanted to just live normal lives, but what they ended up doing in real life is moving to the middle of probably one of the wealthiest zip codes in the country, with this huge, like $15 million mansion. It has like 9 bedrooms and 16 bathrooms, and they have been doing everything since then to get as much attention as possible, while turning around and pretending to be victims of that attention, being mad that they're getting attention. So the whole thing is really funny, but I did want to give a little bit of background on Harry and Meghan in case you haven't been following them as closely as probably some of us have, which I can understand because there are so many other things that are just so much more important than this. But I do think a lot of the things surrounding Harry and Meghan are a nod to just how the woke left think in general, because that is the group that they are a part of, and just how they truly think that victimhood is a legitimate career path and a legitimate way to contribute to society. So this episode goes in and it mocks the fact that Harry and Meghan have become absolutely nothing more than a brand, and that nothing that they do is genuine or natural. They've become so obsessed with being perceived as this brand that everything that they do in every single moment is focused on that, and that they constantly make statements that they have to backtrack on, because in the moment they might say something that aligns with the brand that they want to have, but down the road they have to backtrack because they have to make new statements that align with the brand that they're trying to create now. For example, during the original Oprah interview that kind of started this whole thing, Meghan made a very clear suggestion about the royal family being racist without actually saying those words. She never provided any details about who it was, which essentially sent the message that it could be anyone, or it could be the entire royal family that is racist. And, we're just kind of left to speculate. But then almost 2 years later, during an interview with 60 Minutes, Harry was asked again about this idea, Meghan implying that the royal family was racist, and Harry went back and said, no, she never said that. She never said that. And the interviewer was like, well, she made allegations about, and Harry said, yeah, about skin color. And he's like, doesn't that mean, isn't that an implication on racism? And then Harry essentially blamed the entire British media for perpetuating that message while ignoring the fact that neither he or Meghan chose to correct that message at all until now, when they have noticed that it negatively affects them. In real life, in pursuit of this privacy, they planted themselves in the middle of LA, and they have done everything they can to get attention. Meghan has a podcast, they did the Oprah interview, Harry wrote a book, and they have essentially left nothing to the imagination. And now they're even backtracking on the idea that they even wanted privacy in the first place. And through it all, they have done nothing but bash the royal family. That has been their entire brand. That is all they have had to offer. And everything they have said or done has been based on the foundation that they essentially or allegedly have been targeted by the royal family, that Harry had such a hard life as a prince growing up in a palace, and that despite all of the criticism that they've hurled at the monarchy, they respond by insisting that they're the victim. So I think all of this is important to understand as we go through the episode, because I'm sure, like I said, most of you probably don't follow them super closely. I don't follow them that closely, but honestly, when I am trying to escape the chaos of the world and I need something just completely silly and absurd to listen to or to think about, I'll go and listen to a news segment or a commentary episode, something to do with the royal family, because it's just entertaining at this point. And I want you to be able to get as much enjoyment out of this episode as possible. So that's why I wanted to give you the background in case you've missed some of these things from Harry and Meghan. In this episode, as the creators, as the writers of Southpark spend the whole time essentially slinging poop at these two idiots, they run a parallel story with one of the characters, Kyle, as he is struggling with getting attention from his friends and being seen as valued from his friends. And another friend advises him that the answer to his problems is to work on his brand, is to create a brand, and that is how he is going to get attention. It starts out with Kyle's little brother, I believe his name is Ike, is watching a funeral of the Canadian monarchy and the death of the Queen. And this is supposedly months after the Queen has died, and he is still just really upset about it, and he's watching it on repeat. I believe that's the basis of what's going on here. And as they cut to coverage of the funeral, you can see Harry and Meghan entering with the procession of the royal family, and they are met with disapproving stares and sneers from the crowd, and people just giving them really dirty looks, and people are whispering about how they've bashed the royal family, and then the Duke of Earl actually even farts on Meghan.
Prince and his new wife have just shown up. The prince and his wife have, of course, been bashing the Canadian monarchy. A lot of Canadians hate them now. Oh, and I believe the Earl of Halifax has just spotted on the prince's wife's face.
Meanwhile, in this parallel story of Kyle and kind of introducing his problems, what he wants to do, the reason he's mad is because Ike is watching this funeral on repeat, and Kyle wants to get online and game with his friends. So when he cannot join them, he goes to school the next day and realizes that his presence wasn't missed and they leveled up without him. And so his friends are, essentially just sending the message like, hey, we didn't miss you. So Butters, this other character, advises Kyle that the way to solve his problems and feeling left out is to get brand management, to hire a brand consultant. So they go to this brand consultant at this particular business that handles these things and sit down with the consultant and goes through a bunch of ideas that could potentially help Kyle's brand. Everything that he suggests has, it could be rugged, vegan, compassionate, victim. Every outline that he provides has all of these characteristics, and then victim at the bottom of it, because that is a slight towards Meghan in the fact that everything that she has done is centered on being a victim. At the same time, Harry and Meghan are brought on a show called Good Morning Canada, and as they're entering the stage, they're carrying these protest signs and these picket signs chanting, "We want privacy! We want privacy!"
All right, thanks for having us on the show.
It's so awesome to be here. It's great.
So let me start with you, sir. You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Wah.
Of course, the reason that is so funny is because, again, they've insisted that they want their privacy, yet they're doing everything possible to draw attention to themselves and do the opposite of get privacy. So I love how the interview calls this book Wah that Harry created. It's a nod to the book Spare, and essentially the whole book was just Harry whining about being a royal. I mean, there were some legitimate things that were geared towards his grief after his mom passed away, which was really understandable, but everything else was just whining about being a prince, whining about being second in line, whining about not having as many things as Prince Harry, and the things that he's referring to are, you know, his brother got more breakfast sausages than him, or got a bigger portion of the room that they shared. Those are the things that he is whining about. So essentially, it is very appropriate that in this episode they labeled the book Wah. And then of course the host asked them about their statements against journalists, while pointing out the hypocrisy that since you're writing a book reporting on the royal family, that makes you journalists. And then of course they perceive this to be negative attention. Again, this is victimizing them, and then they storm off carrying their picket signs yelling, "We want privacy." And I wanted to point out that you may have noticed that the voice that they give Meghan is this ditzy valley girl voice, and we know that that's not what she sounds like in person, but I think that this was their way of portraying the fact that Meghan is not a very deep person, and they wanted to be able to show us that without having to go into too much detail, and I think they did it perfectly. And this is what kicks off their worldwide privacy tour. What I noticed about this clip, because it's very subtle, but they're not on this tour, they're not doing TV interviews, they're not being asked to appear on TV shows and to do all of the things that would normally bring attention to somebody that is a celebrity or somebody that people actually want to pay attention to. Because honestly, I think, this is my opinion, that the interview with Oprah essentially, I think that they thought that this was going to be their induction into the A-list life, into this A-list celebrity lifestyle. And I think that once that interview happened, because there was so much negative reaction to it and so much negative response, and it's all been downhill from there, I think most of the celebrities, including Oprah herself, have distanced themselves from Harry and Meghan, and they are not getting the attention that they want. They want people to be inviting them on TV shows. They want people to be, you know, just desperate to get their attention and to talk to them and ask them questions and interview them about their life. But in this clip, you'll notice that the attention they're getting is if they just go to a place where there already are lots of people, like on the ski slope or on the basketball court, and then they pretend that the crowd of people are bothering them and that the crowd of people are invading on their privacy, even though they inserted themselves into that situation and people are staring at them because they're in a place where they already were. Eventually, they end up in Southpark, Colorado, claiming that this is the place that they are going to live. They can be just normal people and have this quiet life that they claim to want so much. They move into a house that's across the street from Kyle, this kid that is, you know, working on his brand. So, of course, their stories interact with each other. On the front of their house, they drape these huge signs that say respect our privacy, and then they go about doing antics, things like setting off fireworks in the middle of the night and playing polo in the front yard.
Down with the Monarchy! We deserve our privacy! Why are we so mad today?
Because we want our privacy.
Every time Kyle reacts, all he is telling them to do is to be quiet and to go away. And when he does that, they yell back like, "Don't you know the meaning of the word privacy? Don't you know to respect our privacy?" And then they attack him for telling them to shut up by flinging polo balls through the windows. And I thought this was brilliant because, again, these two have kept insisting that they don't want attention, that they want people to leave them alone, but they're doing all of the things that they can possibly think of to bring attention to themselves. And not only that, they do things that are bound to bring negative attention to themselves. And then they get mad when people respond to the thing that they're doing. Instead of getting attention in the way that they want attention, for instance, in real life, they whine about the royal family, and in doing so, they want you to be drawn to Meghan's podcast, or to be drawn to Harry's book, or their Netflix docuseries, or all of these other things that they want viewership on. But instead, the only response that they're getting is for people to just spend enough time and energy to tell them to be quiet, to tell them to go away, and that is what makes them mad. So as Kyle is pursuing this brand and trying to get more attention from his friends, he starts off with trying to be a victim, and he's met with the response from his friends that they don't care. They're not paying attention to him even though he's trying to be a victim. It makes him really sad. So then he goes back home and he gets to the door and he sees this. There is another YouTube commentator that did an entire breakdown of every single one of these magazine covers, because every single one of them is actually based on a magazine cover that Meghan has done. So I will link his video in the description box so you can go and see exactly which magazine covers each of these are referring to, because it's absolutely brilliant. But again, Kyle is just trying to give them their privacy. He doesn't care that they're there. He wants to leave them alone. But they want attention from him, and when he's ignoring them, they put all these magazine covers all over his door, and they're saying, hey, pay attention to these things, but all he wants to do is yell at them to be quiet. So it's absolutely hilarious how they put this all together. So by the end of the episode, Kyle reconciles with his friends, and there's this lesson learned that Kyle just needs to be a real person, and that his friends just appreciate him for who he is, and that being obsessed with just turning into a brand turns you into a product, and you lose your sincerity, you lose your humanity, you lose the thing that people are actually attracted to about being a human being. And hilariously, Harry actually grasp this message.
We don't need to be a brand, do we? If it's truly what we want, then we really can get away from it all. No more magazines and Netflix shows. We really can live a normal life. Yes, I'm sure you agree, darling. We can be the people we talked about being, with no more worries about how we look or the image we project to people. What matters is what we have on the inside.
Hello?
And I believe at the end, he actually ends up leaving without her, which, who knows, maybe that's prophetic. Honestly, I would believe it to an extent that, first of all, I don't think that this is the path Harry would have chosen had he not married Meghan. I don't think he ever had any intention of moving to the US, especially not Los Angeles. And I don't think that he ever had any intention of dragging his family through the mud. Or I don't think that this was, ever what he aimed for in life. Because if he did, he would have done a lot of this stuff beforehand. He would have talked more publicly about his family beforehand, or brought attention to these issues. But he was already getting enough attention just by being a prince. And I don't think that he was seeking more attention. So I think Meghan honestly thought just by marrying a prince that she would achieve the status that she's always wanted. Again, I say the reason that it is funny is because it is true. And what I think that this also ties into is just kind of this leftist ideology, this leftist belief system, philosophy that being a victim makes you somebody worth paying attention to. And, the reaction that we see throughout Southpark is exactly how most of the public feels towards leftist activists who constantly whine about everything. Everything is offensive. Everything deserves a protest. And they want us to cave to their cause or to care about the things that they care about, but we all pay just enough attention to them to tell them to be quiet. Whining is not a valuable contribution to society. It's not what you want to be known for, and you can't expect people to continue to pay attention if that's all you do. I mean, raising concerns about a particular cause, here and there, or getting involved in something specific is understandable. We all have things that we want to change. We all have things that we speak out on, but when it's nonstop, when it's all you do, then the only thing people want you to do is to be quiet, because your complaints have lost all credibility. When you're somebody that just complains about everything and complains nonstop, then it becomes obvious that it's not the things that you're complaining about that are the problem, it's you that's the problem. Because it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what is changed, it doesn't matter how many times that you are appeased in your grievances, you will always find something to complain about. And in response to this Southpark episode, Meghan has said that she just felt really upset and overwhelmed by the episode and annoyed by Southpark, but refuses to watch it all. This is from an article in the New York Post. And she's threatened to sue Southpark. Well, good luck with that. That's not going to happen. They are never going to admit that they brought this on themselves. They are never going to admit that the reason people mock them and the reason people find this so funny and the reason that this, doing things like this is so effective is because everything underneath has substance. And with the left, it's why we find these memes so funny and these faces so funny, because it has essentially become representation of what the left always does, which is just complain about everything. And they've lost all credibility, and really all they do is either give us material to make fun of or material to tell them to just be quiet and go away. And if I were Meghan, I would be really careful about your continued victimhood status and even targeting Southpark, because what you're doing is giving Southpark more material for the next episode. Anyway, you guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Leave a like, share it if you think it's worth sharing. Also, check out Viking Secreto in the description box. Please subscribe to my channel. Help me reach that next milestone of 1,000 subscribers and beyond. I appreciate your support. Hit the notification bell to be notified every time I post a video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.